And we are back again. This is L.A. Kendrick from the House of Havoc, the Crib of Chaos, with part 2 of Half Past Bad, weekly horror stories and sci-fi stories. Now let's just get into it. When we last checked, our special ops team was barricaded inside of their extraction point. And we shouldn't even say barricaded. They just happened to go in and they had some funny activity going on outside that they couldn't identify. And the troubles picked up and got worse. So when we last saw them, they had all their weapons with the laser sights immediately on the Sally Port door as something or some things were pounding on the outside trying to get in. So they were locked and loaded. And it kept pounding, and the harder that it pounded, the more dense that it put inside of the Sally Port. And if you've ever seen a Sally Port door, it's really flexible and it gives. So if you hit it, it kind of gives a little bit. But this, whatever this was hitting on the outside. It was putting dents inside into the material. So they unload. Whatever it was, it sounded like it made a sizzling sound, and it scurried off. And then the last CCT camera was destroyed. So they're flying blind. So they waited a few minutes and they listened to see if there was any activity going on in the outside. So Ray Steen, the leader, asked them to open the gate, or the opening to the Sally Port, which is gate, whatever you want to call it. He asked them to raise it up, so they did. And as they do this, he takes precautionary steps outside and he looks around with his weapon, looking left to right, up, down, scanning all over. And then Tripwire comes out with him. And then they survey the area to see if there's any tracks or any bodies. All they see is this greenish white fluid and multiple footprints running in pretty much every direction. And then the footprints converge and they all seem to run towards the Oasis water deposit, like that little pond, that little lake. So they see the footprints going to that direction, but again, it's dark, so they can't really see. And just above the surface, it's like a mist, like a little fog or a mist. And Ray says, I've never seen anything like it. And Tripwire says, I haven't either. And then one of the guys said, you may want to get back in here, you guys. I don't trust it. I got a bad feeling about what's going on out here. And Ray says, okay, just give us a few more minutes to survey. And then Ray tells Trip, I noticed none of the traps went off. And Trip says, yeah, I think they're using like the trees and they're jumping. It's almost like they can see them, but I don't think they can see them. They're using the trees to transport over. That's why you keep hearing them on the top of the building. So whatever it is, it's pretty slick. So they look and survey the area a little bit more, and then they slowly make their way back. And as they do, they can hear some high-pitched squealing and growling. So they take quick steps back to the extraction building, but they do it in such a manner that they're ready for anything to jump out, and they're going to unload on anything that jumps out. And as they're backing up, Ray says, well, whatever it is, man, obviously we heard it because you can see the fluid around, you can see the bodies. I mean, you can see the footprints, you can see the fluid all around. So apparently we've hit something. And the other guy says, come on, guys, get in. So as Ray and Trip get in, they attempt to shut the Sally Port, and as they do, a hand comes from the top of the roof and it yanks the other member that was standing outside, ushering Ray and Trip into the building. It yanks him up. Ray grabs hold of his ankles, and then Trip does the same thing. They try to hold on and pull him down. And as they do, you can hear the guy screaming and hollering as he's being ripped into shreds. And all they can manage to pull down is half of the body, the leg half. And they immediately slam the Sallyport door shut, and something jumps down, and then Ray throws a grenade out, and the grenade explodes, and you can hear this screaming. And as they look, you can hear the screaming, and the Sallyport door closes, but there are holes inside of the Sallyport door from the weapons. So they look out. Ray looks out the hole, one of the holes, and they can see something dragging a body that he really can't make out. He sees it dragging a body out and away from the spot, just dragging it away very quickly. And they sit down, and they're pretty pissed off at what just happened. And then Ray says, does he have any next of kin? And Trip says, well, he had a fiance that they were breaking up, and she doesn't want to listen to him a lot of the time, so he was pretty much out here trying to clear his head and see what his next steps was, but he was pretty sure he was going to end it. And Trip says, well, it's definitely over with now, no matter which way he goes with it. And so they sit back and they still try to figure out what it is. And Ray's like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what they are, but they're all over the building, and they're viciously trying to get inside of the building and harm us. And then they can hear the claymore that was set out, the trip had set out earlier, it explodes. And again, you can hear the screaming, and you can hear the debris fall, just because the explosion was so great that it actually throws debris towards the building. You can hear it settling on the top of the building, and it slides off the sides. So Ray says, well, I'm not going to just stand in here and let these things take us. We got 2 hours before we extract it, because he can see it on the blip. And he actually tells the communications guy that's with them, he asks them what's their ETA, and they tell him they're about an hour and a half out. And then he lets them know, hey, we're under attack. We have an unfriendly here. We can't figure out what it is, and it's attacked the team, and it's you may want to come in with your guns hot. And with that being said, Ray and Trip step back outside, but they go through the side door. It's a well-made door, some kind of metallic alloy. Don't know what it is. And then they open and look out, and then they can see all of these figures. Some that are hunched over, some that are squatting down like they're crawling, and then some standing straight up. But they can't see they just have a humanoid form to them. And Ray and Trip look and say, yeah, this is about to get bad, because it looks to be a dozen of whatever these things are. So those things start coming towards Ray and Trip, and they unload, spraying as they go back inside of the building, and they barricade the door again. And at this point, they're getting all the firepower and all the weapons, everything that they have available, ready for the final showdown with these things, whatever they are. But whatever they are, they're vicious. And they prepare for the absolute worst, because their extraction is about an hour and a half out. Now, if they can just hold up until that happens, they'll be good to go. But whatever these things are starting to make holes in the top of the roof, and they're making their way inside. But Ray and the rest of the guys have a surprise waiting on them. As one of the hands come through the roof, they shoot it completely off. And it falls to the ground, and that greenish white fluid is drips through the ceiling, and we believe that it's the blood of these things. They believe it's the blood of these things. And the hand is a webbed hand, but it has claws on it. So that would at least signify that the thing is some kind of aquatic animal. But if it's walking on land, it may be amphibious as well. So they all keep their guns pointed at the top of the ceiling and at the opening. And then all of a sudden they can see an eye pierce right through the top of the opening of the hole, and it looks down at them. Ray takes a couple of shots at it, and it instantly moves out of the way, and it's gone. Now they have the evidence of what's attacking them. They know that it can bleed. They know that they know that they can injure it because of the arm, the fluids, and the body that was drug off earlier. So they take the other half. They take the half of their friend, their fallen comrade, and they place it inside of a body bag. And they put his tags inside of the body bag as well, and they zip it up. And now they're preparing for the final showdown with these creatures. I'm going to leave it right there. Part 2 of Half Past Dead. I'm sorry, of Half Past Bad, okay? My apologies. Again, remember, this is just a hobby of mine. And these are rough stories of mine. Trying to make sure that during the coronavirus outbreak that we have some things that we can rely on and some stories to be told to keep the imagination sharp and, provide hope and inspire things, okay? I have published work already out on Amazon, Barnes, Ingram, Indigo, Nuke, Kindle, and several other outlets. If you like what I'm doing, please feel free to use my Cash App. It's $outrage95, and the outrage is a capital O. All comments, and ahead of time, you guys, thank you ahead of time for any support that you're showing, all right? Again, this has been L.A. Kendrick from the House of Havoc, the Crib of Chaos. Remember, check the dark recesses of your home. Check your closets. Check under your beds. And if you happen to work at night, when you step out, be mindful of your surroundings. In and out of the building. Check under your car. Don't be lazy. Because you never know what's lurking in the dark, waiting to make you a story. And this has been L.A. Kendrick, bringing you the heavy.